And 1.5. There we go. Ladies and gents, we got another one ready to rock and roll. We got a crazy story for you guys today just to show you that no matter where you are in life, there's always a way up if you're willing to work for it. So let's get this one on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. All right, ladies and gents, on today's episode, we'll be diving into the world of human transformation with the owner and operator of Human Better 365. Our guest is a master at turning chaos into order with a focus on time management and organization for both businesses and families. With a background in self-development, this serial entrepreneur, people pleaser, rose from the ashes from a tumultuous past to become the leader she is today. So let's welcome to the show the one and only Miss Sabrina Victoria. All righty, party started. Let's do this thing. Sabrina, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Let's start off with I want to start with your story because I find it that it's so empowering for a lot of people who find themselves in very similar situations. So tell me about the struggle that you went through to get to where you are today.
Yes. So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. For those that don't know what that is, it's a fairly strict religion. Everything was hunky-dory until I turned 20 years old and I ended up pregnant with no husband. And at that point, the religion for sins like that kicks you out of the religion and you lose your entire family and your entire community. So within 24 to 72 hours of me announcing that I was pregnant with a miracle, I lost everything that I had ever known up to that point. I led the whole stereotypical single mom, dreadful life of negative $172 in my bank account at any given time, eviction notices on my apartment door, car getting repoed out of the parking lot, and just absolute despair and hopelessness.
That's kind of scary to be in that situation for anybody who's ever had to experience being pregnant. That's already difficult enough. Not having the support of that other person in your life, that's already hard enough. And then to deal with being like on your own, trying to just get on your own 2 feet, that's a struggle. There's people who just spiral out of control downward. How'd you get out of it?
Okay, well, that's a whole nother story. I ended up in a relationship with a man who was extremely toxic. However, he had money. So I thought this was given to me by the universe or whatever you believe in. And I ignored all of the red flags. There was red flags all over the place. And I think one of the biggest issues that humans have in general, when they don't know how to take care of themselves, when they haven't educated themselves, when they are in a lonely, isolated place, they end up in getting taken advantage of and getting manipulated by individuals who know just a little bit more than they do. So I ended up in this extremely toxic relationship. He convinced me to leave my place, move in with him, get rid of my phone, use his phone, get rid of my job, work for him. And I basically became this like low-key prisoner / slave of doing all of the things for him. And I was getting paid $200 a week, which left me still broke. And it was extremely toxic: mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse. I didn't have any money. He had all the money. Everything was in his name. And 8 years in, I'm on the floor, in the bathroom, in the dark, just crying my eyes out, having a total mental breakdown. and I took out my phone. I always say Google saved my life. I Googled, why is my boyfriend bullying me? And Google told me that I was in a toxic relationship. It told me that I was codependent, that I had no power, no voice, no confidence, and basically told me that I was capable of all of these things that I didn't know I was capable of. So I opened up a secret storage unit. I opened up a secret bank account. And within 4 years, I was able to collect secretly $50,000 and literally escape. I left with my son, our clothes, and my bicycle and started all over from scratch.
That is intense. Okay, so let's jump into that little secret account, by the way, because that's where the story really kind of gets interesting for you in your life, right? We all love to kind of rubberneck an accident on the freeway, and we kind of want to see destruction. But what really inspires us is when you come out of the ashes from that, right? When you're able to build yourself up. So let's go into detail. What happened there? What did you do? It's not just I got a storage unit and I got a bank account and boom, $50,000. There was some work that went into that. What was that?
There was a lot of work that went into it. The number one thing that saved me, and I recommend for anybody who is in a less than powerful state, anybody who does not feel powerful as a human being. We are human beings. We are powerful things, powerful mammals on this planet. And what I did is I dove headfirst into personal development. Anything and anyone that I could grab a hold of that could tell me how to do it better than how I was already doing it. So everybody I started out with religion because that's where my, main thing was. So I started out with Joel Osteen. For those of you that don't know him, he's a huge, motivational speaker down in Texas. I don't follow him any longer, but that was like my first. It doesn't matter how you get in, you just got to get in. And I went to Les Brown, then Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, Lisa Nichols, Barbara Cochran, individuals who were just making things happen. And I would find their stories. What was their story? Where was their darkness? And these little tiny glimmers of stories motivated me to say, hey, they also were down here and now they are down up here. And what were they doing? What did their life look like? What time did they wake up? What kind of things were they doing every single day? What were they listening to? Who were they following? And if you really dig into this arena, you can very easily find out what books they're reading, what they're watching, who they're hanging around with. One of the greatest, most powerful things that I've ever heard that I've carried with me into this day is if you see someone who has something that you want, do what they do and you'll get what they have. And that is what I have been living my life on up to this point. And it has gotten me to where I am now. As far as the money goes, it was a lot of different things. I dove headfirst into online. I started my first online program. And I was in health and wellness. I also was selling everything that I owned on eBay and OfferUp. I had like a little garage sale basically in the trunk of my car at any given time between meeting people in parking lots and delivering things to eBay. And I kind of took on this persona of a squirrel. It was kind of like, where's all the money? Kind of like how a squirrel's just constantly looking for nuts. If you look at squirrels, all they're doing is looking for nuts. They're doing nothing else. They're not enjoying the sun. They're not hanging out, partying. They're literally always looking for nuts. And that's kind of the persona that I had to take on early on in that journey, is just, where is my money? Everybody here is capable of acquiring money. You just have to find it. So that's what I did. Anything and everything. Fiverr was huge for me. Upwork was huge for me. eBay, OfferUp. And then I started a Teachable account where I was selling, at that time, nutritional, yoga, little video programs on Teachable.
That's awesome. The struggle to get there. I always find it fascinating when there's that story of hunger. Creed 3 is about to come out, right? And it's almost a replay of like Rocky 3, the Clubber Lang story, right? There's somebody who comes out who sees somebody that they know who's achieved the level of success that they want to achieve, and they're hungry and they're driven for it. And I know Les Brown is the one who always says, you know, you got to be hungry if you want it. Uh, and I always wonder, does that fade over time? The hunger that you had and the passion and the drive that you had at the beginning because you needed to get out of a situation, that passion is different from now you are on your own, you're on your own 2 feet, you're where you want to be. That hunger tends to quell down. It's like, you know, everybody who's starving, all of a sudden all they can think about is food. As soon as they get a little food in their stomach, they're not really thinking about the next meal. How do you keep that fuel, that fire going to help maintain and grow your where you started?
100. And actually, what kept me going, or what has kept me going, two things. One, I heard someone say early on, maybe not early on, I shouldn't say early on, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I heard somebody say something to the effect of most entrepreneurs kind of fall off the bandwagon once they hit six figures. They work really hard and do all of the things, and they get stressed and they work and they climb and they climb. And then once they hit six figures, they kind of plateau off. And my life has been a constant battle of not being a stereotype, right? I ended up single mom. What's the stereotype with that? I ended up within a toxic relationship. What's the stereotype with that? Had issues with alcohol. What's the stereotype with that? And I really wanted to, again, break that stereotype of once you are in this box, this is what's going to happen to you. And I just totally disagree with that. So that's number one. Number two, creating something that is bigger than me. So, you know, through this journey of personal development, and, you know, I'm a coach myself, and really honing in on what do I want to do? What's the legacy that I want to live? What is something that I am just so passionate about that I would wake up every single day so excited and so motivated to do that? And I have created a community of individuals who I am striving for greatness. The vision that I have for what I am building is so big that there's no way that I could get it done in my lifetime. And I'm so excited about it. And I wake up with just, I am ready to go. Like, I sleep fully 5 to 8 hours a night, depending. And when I wake up, I am ready to rock and roll. One of the awesomest things that was ever said to me probably a year or two ago, one of my good friends, Vivian, she had, we met online. I've never met her in person, but we've become really good friends. And we were on the phone, you know, a while back. She goes, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I have to apologize to you." She's like, "The first time I ever talked to you on the phone, and you're going all this energy, high energy, this big vision that you have." She's like, "I low key was like, this girl's going to burn out. This girl is burning, you know, both sides of her candle. This is going to wither away, and this is going to die within months." And she's like, "I look back now, years later, and you're still freaking rolling with just as much tenacity, just as much energy as you were the first time that we talked." And she apologized. She's like, "I'm so sorry that I had that internal thought process, but I'm so happy for where you're going." She's like, "And I see it." And I think that's the other thing. When you start to see the momentum and what is starting to create, even here with Business Bros, I'm sure you can see it too, right? You had this awesome idea, you dove head first, you come in with full energy, and then you start to look around, you're like, holy crap. Like, this is becoming something. This is an actual tangible thing. And when you're working that hard and you can start to see the results, it becomes that much more exciting to wake up every single day and be on fire.
100%. Like the change that it has not only on myself, but also when you help the other people around you, it's addicting, if that's even a way to explain it, because it really is. It really does. You mentioned having some things that you had to break out of, different habits that you had in your life, and I always find it difficult to break a habit versus more difficult to break a habit than it is to start a new one, right? And you also said that you were looking to different mentors, people who were having successful things, and you'd look at what they were doing to try to emulate those things. When you have clients that are finding themselves in a struggle, or people that may not know they're in a situation that they're in trouble yet. You talked early on how when you were in this relationship, you kind of had your blinders on and you didn't realize how bad of a situation you were in until further down the road. What are some things that people can identify, some habits that they might have, some pain points that they might be struggling with, so that they can kind of realize that this is actually a red flag and it's not normal? This is the time where we need to make that change.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, the most important, my whole niche is time management organization. Along with that, one of the biggest things that people talk to me about is I'm a procrastinator. You know, we're stuck in this situation. We're doing the same thing over and over again. We have all these dreams, all these desires, all these things that we want in our life, but then they're lazy or they're a procrastinator. And, you know, I talk about prioritization. I talk about energy and attention. Being a time management guru, you know, it's not about time. You can't actually manage time. You can't like stack time or manipulate and tie it in a knot. Time is just endless. It's just infinity. It just is. It's just constant thing that happens. What we do have control over as a person, whether it's in relationships or whether it's in business or whether it's you're with your family or whatever it is we can control our energy and we can control our attention. That's it. Our energy and our attention. There has to be, no matter what the situation is, even if it's trying to get out of a relationship, right? When I wanted to get out of that relationship, when I was seeing all these red flags around me, I could have ignored it. I could have gotten complacent. This is what people do when their businesses are failing. They get complacent. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to make the next step. They have ideas and they get in this cycle of tomorrow, or it's good enough, or fear, or I'm scared. Really sitting down and saying, one, where is my energy? Am I more energetic in the morning, or am I more energetic in the afternoon, or am I more energetic in the evening? And really finding out what's good for you. When you find out where your energy is, that's where you need to go all in. So I am a total morning person. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. It just is in me. That's just how I am built. And I am all in till about 1:00, and then like not so much. But then I get real hyper and really excited again right around 5:00 at night. And I can go until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, depending on what I'm working on. So that's number one. Figure out where that is. Create a plan. What is the plan to escape? What is the plan for your business? What is your plan for, you know, implementing for a better relationship with your spouse or with your children, whatever it is? What's the plan? And then two, the attention. When you have those big spurts of energy, putting all of your attention in during those time slots. So if I'm super excited about my business and I'm super thrilled about my business and all of the things that I'm doing it, but then I have no energy, I'm super tired, I'm going to end up falling asleep. Or if I have a ton of energy and I just drank a bunch of coffee and I'm ready to go, but my attention is on playing in the pool or hanging out on TikTok or going to dinner with my friends, and I'm not putting all of my attention on my business or in my relationship or whatever it is, then turmoil, total turmoil. And you start doing the same thing over and over and over again. You start seeing this crazy cycle happening over and over and over again. So instead of what am I supposed to be doing all the time with all the things, there's only two things you have to remember. One, where's my attention? Number two, how much energy do you have during different spots of the time? When you figure that out, during those times is when you need to be paying it all the attention on that problem, on making the solution for whatever that is. And those are the steps. Those are the steps that help you go from where you are now to where you want to be.
I love that because I think I struggle with that still a lot to this day. There's times when, for example, I'm trying to get some work done, and then my daughter will come say, "I need help with my homework," and I'm like torn between two things. Like I'm definitely helping her out, but in my mind, while I'm answering a question, I'm over here thinking about what I was doing for work, or like it's like the moments where I want to get certain things done, there's always a distraction that's going to get in the way. And I think you're right. If you can just harness and kind of take a step back and be like, okay, put one down, focus everything you can on that other one, get it completed, and then come back and focus your attention on that one thing. It sounds like you're canceling out my multitasking here, but you're being much more productive in the one thing that you're focusing your attention on, because that's the only thing we really have. We only can do one thing at a time. Multitasking isn't real. We can do multiple tasks half-assed, but we're never going to actually get that one thing done correctly. So I wanted to go back to building community, because I had a question around that. There's a difference today, I feel, between building a following, which is what a lot of people are trying to do, especially on social media, versus building a community. Can you kind of explain the difference between the two, how you approach building your community?
Definitely, 100%. And I'm going to cut you here, which you're not going to appreciate for your for your slicing of the video. But a little bit of advice on the daughter. My son is about to be 19 years old, and you would think that once they hit 19, they're all on their own, which he totally is 100%. But he still comes in sometimes and asks me questions. He's also trying to build his own business at the moment, so he comes in every once in a while and asks me a question. One of the things that I do in order to alleviate that problem where they're just coming and interrupting you randomly is I will go into his room before I know that I'm going to be time blocking for something fairly important that needs a large amount of time. And I'll say, hey, bud, just coming in, letting you know that, I'm going to be busy for the next 2.5 or 3 hours. Do you need anything? He'll say yes or no. And then I'll say, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to be bothered for the next 2 to 3 hours. So this does two things. It does one, it helps you be able to help them if they need help with something. And then two, sets a really nice boundary for them to really recognize, like, hey, not going to be able to bother mom/dad for the next 3 hours. Usually they can pay attention to that.
And that's why you're the time management guru, right? These little itty bitty hacks, like literally what you just said right there was prioritize. Yeah. You took a long way of saying prioritize. It's do something ahead of what you're going to do. The interruptions are going to come. That's going to happen. So cut them off ahead of time. Give them the attention and energy that they need up front, so that you can close the door on that one and open the door of attention and energy on that next task. Beautiful. I love it. Thanks for cutting it off, though. I love that.
As far as community versus groups, I'm not trying to brag here, but I'm going to totally brag. The community that I run, the company is Human Better 365. The community that I run under that is Her Nation. I also run a sober community too called Sober Society, but Her Nation is just blowing up. And I think there's two key things when it comes to building a community versus building a group. We is the first thing. I speak in we's. So we are doing this. We did this. We are going here. I take everyone with me in my group, whether you just joined yesterday or whether you've been in the group for years, it doesn't matter. We're going over here. So I speak totally in we's. Number two, I give praise where praise is due consistently every single day. Every single day, I do shout outs. I do, individuals who are doing a great job with comments or posting or whatever. I'm constantly shouting people out, constantly bringing people up, constantly helping people rise, constantly connecting people. If I meet you, you remind me of somebody. Guarantee within a day or two, you will get an email in your email box with a connection between 1 and 2. It is something that I spend literally probably an hour or two every single day where I'm not even making any money. I'm not even making any money doing those two things that's like tangible that you can actually see. But this is because, and this is the difference between somebody who's doing something short term and between somebody who's doing something long term for the long haul. And I'm in this for the long haul. So when you're in something and you're like, hey, it doesn't matter what's necessarily happening today. What matters is what I have going on for the next 12, 20, 30, 50 years. If that's what you're looking at, you know that the foundation of which your community, your Facebook group, or whatever it is built on needs to be so strong and so sturdy, almost interlocked with each other, where they know that you have their back and you know that they have your back. I mean, that's where it's built.
I love the fact that you do the praise thing, because it's one of the core things that has made, I believe, my show a success. Is we literally, as we started building the show, it's like, what is the reason that this person is coming on the show? Every single guest that comes on the show for essentially one reason. They need to promote what it is that they're doing. So if I'm over here creating a show that is 100% about me, it's never going to have the effect as if I create a show that's 100% about you, the guest who's on here, which is why the fire intro for us is always so important, which is why, getting as much information as we possibly can about the guest out there, creating cool content clips about what the guest is doing, because at the end of the day, that's where the success comes in. You're doing it with Her Nation. You're giving them praise where they need to go. You're essentially doing kind of like what you were telling me with your son. You're guiding their behavior based on the congratulations and the praise that you're giving them, so they can continue to do things that are beneficial for them. That is powerful. That's a loving community that you're creating there. Did I get it about right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And the other thing is too, that's a sign of a good leader. A good leader doesn't need all the attention on them. A good leader is consistently helping the individuals, the employees, the community, whoever it is, helping them rise. Because without that, we're nothing, right? If it was just you hanging out and you had no podcastees, you had no community, and you're just sitting here talking to a wall, it doesn't even exist. It's not even a thing. It's the people around you that create the foundation for you to be able to do what you do. So you have to thank them for that.
100%. And that's why you're episode 1105, because exactly that. You're continuing to show praise, and we're doing good things for people, and it shows. That's why we keep getting booked up. Sabrina, before we head up, because we're running low on time here towards the end, time flies when you're having fun, by the way. If people want to reach out to you, they want to know about Her Nation, they want to know about your coaching program, they want to know just to be involved with you and your high energy, how can they do that?
My website is the best place to get in contact with me, sabrinavictoria.com, which I know you've been putting down here this whole time, so I appreciate that. And I'm on all the things social media. So I follow Gary V to a T, and I'm everywhere, anywhere and everywhere where you could possibly be, I am, and it's always under the same exact handle.
Gary V is doing some amazing things. I love his empathy type stuff. Maybe not the wine so much. I haven't had his wine, but his whole idea of empathy. He's actually the reason why I started the whole podcast. He was the influence. He was like, you know what? If you're in business, you need to have a podcast. You need to be creating content. And I was like, I'm going to do video. No, I'm going to do this. No, you know what? Let's try a podcast, because that way I don't have to be behind the camera, and I can hide behind my edited audio. But over time, it built a lot of confidence for me, and it completely changed my life. And I love how you're coming on here, literally telling people, look, there's already successful people out there. Let's just follow some of that. Lastly, before we head out, any final thoughts, anything you would like to say to people out there who are maybe on the fence about getting coaching, who are maybe finding themselves on their own bathroom floor, worrying about what tomorrow will bring?
Yes. One of the number one things that I tell people is, you know something that I don't know, and I know something that you don't know. And the only way to find the unknowing is to have a conversation. That's it. You got to get on the phone with people. You have to network. You have to jump on podcasts like this. You have to get to know people. So many times we want to get into a relationship or a new relationship, or we want to build a business, but we're too scared to go out and meet all the people. We're too scared to get out and talk to strangers. You have to get out and talk to strangers. So whether it's things like this, where you're not necessarily meeting in person, but you can just have a great conversation on, Business Bros, or if it's networking on LinkedIn through the DMs, whatever it is, building community, talking to strangers is the first step. You have to. It's the very first step. Make it small, make it exciting, write something down so you know what to say, write a few questions down, make it quick and simple. You can literally do 10-minute calls or 5-minute calls if you want to. Pretend like you're booked out of your mind and you only have 5 minutes, and start to take those baby steps. Just like what was said right here, scared at first. So hiding behind. And then as you get better and over time, now we're front and center. We got fire going in the background and we have graphics going, and you start to get better and better and better as you go along. But you have to take that first step, whatever that first step is for you.
Exactly. Take action. It's the only way that you're going to finally make mistakes that you can improve upon. Sabrina, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys go to her website, sabrinavictoria.com, sabrinavictoria.com. You can follow her on social at Sabrina Victoria TV. Just go check out her content. I mean, Sabrina's got so much positive energy. It's kind of hard to have a bad day and then listen to her and kind of, continue on with your bad day. So Sabrina, thank you very much for coming on the show. One final question. You've been doing podcast stuff. You're on StreamYard yourself. I wonder, because, for us, it's about creating long form content that we could chop up for social media. What was your experience like creating content with the Business Bros?
Fantastic. Ooh, great question. Yes, absolutely fantastic. On point, organized, all the emails, quick, easy, friendly. Phenomenal.
That's it. That's what we hope for every single episode. All right, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Sabrina, thank you again for coming on the show. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz